ようこそ我がベルベットルームへ。
ここは何かの形で契約を果たされた方のみが訪れる部屋。あなたは見事力を覚醒されたのです。
これをお持ちなさい。
それは契約者の鍵。今宵からあなたはこのベルベットルームの客人です。あなたのペルソナ能力はワイルド。他者とは異なる特別なもの。数字の0のように無限の可能性を秘めています。
あなたに覚醒したワイルドの力はいずこへ向かうことになるのか、ご一緒に旅をしてまいりましょう。
Oh, hi, Mina. Oriwa Trat and welcome to Trat's Reviews. Today I'm going to be doing Persona 4. So, for those of you who know me, I love me Atlus games, and I have never really hated on anything animated that Atlus has ever made. So, Persona 4 the animation is based on Persona 4 the game, which was for PlayStation 2, probably available on PlayStation 3. And basically how it goes is that Yu Narukami, or at least that's the name they give him in the anime. In the game he doesn't actually have a name, because you name him, but they gave him the name Yu. You are going to stay with your uncle for about a year, and murders are happening in the town that you're staying at, and there's some connection between the people who are being murdered and what is happening on a mysterious midnight channel. You discover you have you discovers that he, not you, but you discovers that he has an ability that lets him enter the TV and then obtains a persona, which allows him to fight shadows that are reflections of people, kind of. So, normally an issue I would have when you turn a game that takes up a year into a video game, I mean, when you make a video game that takes up about a year and then try and condense it into a roughly 25 episode anime, is that you expect things to be cut. But because of the nature of the game in question, it actually isn't all that bad. In fact, it grabs all the really important highlights of the game and then condenses it into a nice juicy bit of amazing. I mean, the Beef Bowl challenge is there twice. There is the fishing thing. A couple of the characters is max social links. And a bunch of other things, references, whatnot, from within the game. Made me happy, including the Sunday shopping channel, which has one of the most addictive freaking intro songs I've ever listened to. But yeah. For those of you who don't know what social links are, in the Persona series, there's the RPG aspects of it, but the Persona series also has a visual novel aspect to it, where you go around and you talk to characters and you build relationships with them and whatnot. And then as you build relationships with them, you gain extra abilities and more powerful personas based on how your relationships with other people are, which is really neat. There's also your own personal stats, which are your academics understanding. I'm getting my Persona 3 stats mixed in with Persona 4, but there's like, I know for Persona 3 you have academics, courage, and charm. Persona 4 was academics, something like charm, understanding, courage, and some fifth thing that evades me at the moment. My bad. But it kind of covers all the important things of the game inside the anime. So as for the anime itself, I'm going to try and avoid talking about the game as much as possible from here on out. But for the anime itself, it's roughly set up into 2-episode arcs early on. Introducing the character who is going to be on the Midnight Channel next is the first episode, and then the episode ends usually with the party deciding to enter the TV world to go save them. Then the second episode is fighting the shadow, and then maybe the person joins the party. Depends on if they're actually a main character or not, which you would know if you played the game, but you'll see who does and does not join. For the most part, they join. So, I did listen to it both subbed. Okay, I listened to it in both Japanese and English. I'm perfectly okay with both, but there is one quick thing I need to mention, is that in the English version, you listen to Teddy a lot. In the game, Teddy isn't as obnoxious in English, just because of the fact that he doesn't talk, like, you don't have to talk to Teddy all the time. So, I personally didn't notice it as much playing the game. But when you're watching the anime, because of the fact that they're condensing all the story down, and Teddy talks quite a bit, like, he's kind of obnoxious, yes, in the Japanese too, but there's a reason why. So in Japanese, Teddy always ends like everything with Kuma, which in Japanese means bear, because of the fact that he's a bear human thing. And when they translate it into English, they made it into bear puns, and it's the same way in the game. It's the exact same. He does a bunch of bear puns, but in the English version of the anime, it's much more noticeable than it was in the game. But other than that, I thought the English was actually pretty decent. The anime is a couple years old now, and I still thought the anime itself was like really good. Like, the animation's good, and the music is straight up out from the game. There's practically zero difference in music. They just straight up ported the music from the game into the anime. So I enjoyed it, having played the game. As a forewarning though, for people who are not familiar with Persona, all the games have English songs in them. For those who don't know what I mean by that, you have Japanese people speaking English with a very heavy Japanese accent, so much though that sometimes you can't even tell that they're speaking English. You'll see what I'm talking about. Like the ending, for example. You have to really you have to have subtitles in front of you to understand what's actually being said in the ending. So, as I said, there's a couple of situations where it's like you have been warned, but at the same time, it's really good. I really enjoyed the animation and whatnot. One thing to note though, the original voice actor who did Igor is dead. I don't remember whether or not he was dead at the point that this was being made, but for the rest of the series now, they have to reuse the same voice stuff, because Igor is the guy with the long nose that you saw at the beginning, but he is a very distinct character, and there would be riots in the streets of gaming if they went and changed his voice. Trust me, because I really enjoy his voice. But the voice actor for him died, so I don't remember if he was dead at this point or not, but if I recall correctly, I thought that they had Margaret. Yeah, the reason why Margaret talks so much in the anime is because of the fact that Igor's dead, so they have to use Margaret to keep up with the fact that they're reusing old clips. Okay, I'm glad I remembered that right. So Igor talks from time to time, but everything he says is straight up from the game, and then Margaret makes up for the slack in the anime, which is okay. In the original material, she was very quiet, sounded bored, but in here, she's relatively quiet and talks when she needs to. So if I gave this a rating, between 1 being this is terrible and 10 being this is amazing, I'm going to have to give it a 7.5 because, like I said, the anime itself is really good. It's just that there's some things that you have to be familiar with the original materials to fully enjoy it. The emphasis being on fully. You can enjoy Persona 4 without having played the game or being familiar with anything else in the Persona series. But at the same time, there's a few things that you'll probably not quite catch, or things that won't make sense since you're not familiar with the source stuff. Like I said, it's one of those things where I'm reluctant to say you have been warned, but at the same time, it is definitely a thing that you need to be aware of, that there is an awful lot of game that they compacted into about a season long of episodes. Now that being said, like I said, they did a really good job, and I'm happy with the work they did, but I would have liked it to have been longer, to be entirely honest. There were a couple of things that they kind of jumped over. Oh, and while I'm thinking of it, there is one case, to give you an example as to how good the anime was, even being familiar with the source material like I am, there was one scene that actually almost made me rage because I forgot what happened in the game because of what the anime was doing. That's really cool. If you can make me forget what is supposed to be going on in the game and then have me focus on the anime, that is really good. But yeah. So that's my review. 7.5 just because, like, I would give it an 8, but because of the fact that there's some things that it's best if you're familiar with the source material, then I give it like a 7.5-ish thing. But yeah, that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is actually my 3rd attempt at this because I just haven't... I wasn't able to... like, every time I tried to make this review, something would just feel off about it. And this is my final attempt at it. I'm still probably not going to be completely pleased with it, but whatever. I need to make more reviews to get better at this stuff. If there's anything you want me to review, stick it in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, Jonah.